Welcome to the Wellbeing at Work podcast, where we help you optimize all aspects of well-being in the workplace.
Hello, and welcome back to a really calm and calming episode here on Wellbeing at Work podcast. I'm your host today, Matthew Coman, and I'm joined by my partner, Dr. Cody Crockett. Today, we are going to be utilizing our breath to enhance our focus. And we're going to talk about the significance and the importance of breath. And we're going to give you some practical tools that you can use in and out of the workplace that will significantly enhance productivity, really everything. But it starts with your focus. So before we get into anything, for the sake of today's podcast, wherever you are, whether you're driving, you're in the office, you're at home, let's first fix our posture and let's sit our hips back. Let's make sure that our knees are about hip width apart and our feet are right underneath our knees, nice and strongly planted on the ground. Let's take our shoulders up tall and then sit our shoulders back with a nice, tall spine and get comfortable in this position. Now that you're in a comfortable, good postured position, let's slowly focus on our inhale through our nose for a 3-second count. 3, 2, and 1. Hold that breath in at the top. And let's hit a smooth exhale out of your mouth for 3, 2, and 1. Let's do one more. Smooth inhale through your nose for 3, 2, 1. Hold that breath in. And a smooth exhale out of your mouth for 3, 2, and 1. Now, my invitation for you is to just simply consider how you feel after taking 2 conscious breaths. I make up that you probably feel a little bit calmer. Notice that your body systems have potentially shifted into a more relaxed nature. We're going to dive into some of the science behind breathing. We're also going to keep it at the surface to help you understand that in any given moment, simply taking a breath and bringing your attention to your breath can drastically change your entire state of being. So I'm going to pass the torch over to my partner, Dr. Cody Crockett here, and I'll get you going with the question. Let's consider some ancient traditions here. And if you don't like it, we'll just cut this out of the episode. But let's take breath back into the start. How does that resonate with you, Dr. Crockett? And how have you seen breathing as a practice evolve or devolve in humanity today?
Great questions, Matt. And first off, I want to say thank you for leading us through those 2 conscious breaths. And anyone that's listening to this may notice now that you do feel more relaxed, that you feel more present and more focused on what we're saying here today. And just so notice how these 2 conscious breaths have brought you into the present moment and to bring your awareness here. And this is something that you have access to at all times. And when it comes to the breath and the importance of the breath, I really cannot overstate the importance of breathing. Without the breath, there's certain death. We must have breathing in order to have life. In fact, breathing is the first movement that any of us do. It is the first movement within the body. When we inspire, when we inhale, we're moving air in and out of the body. If everything else is paralyzed, you have this one movement that you have access to. As we've seen through the development of technology, as we've progressed further and further and advanced more progressively into modern day, we can see now that breathing tends to be forgotten. It tends to be ignored. And we're now in a modern day place where so many people lack quality breathing. We get stuck in these poor breathing patterns, if at all, breathing at all. I mean, so many of us get stuck into patterns of apnea where we're not breathing. And it can be as a result of sleeping poorly. It can be a result of just sitting at a desk and being focused on whatever your work may be. When we're in these positions now, it's really easy for our bodies to shut down and to be less apt to breathe. Now that we have this lifestyle where we're more domesticated, where we're more indoors, we might be using technology, we have this lifestyle that sort of discourages us from the natural breathing patterns that we used to do. And so just cultivating awareness on our breathing, and when you might be holding your breath, or when you might be breathing poorly, where your technique might be more up through your chest or your neck or your throat. When you take a deep breath in, if you have excessive movement of your chest, your neck, your shoulders, well, that's a very ineffective way to breathe. Truly, our best way to breathe is deep into the belly, where if we breathe deep into the belly, we bring the air, the oxygen, all the way down into the bottom parts of the lungs where all of the blood is, because gravity pulls the blood to the bottom parts of the lungs. And in order to get oxygen into the body, we want to get oxygen to where all of the blood is. And that's at the bottom part of your lungs. This lifestyle that pushes us into more breath holding tendencies or inefficient breathing patterns up through the chest, the neck, the throat, we don't actually get the air and the oxygen down to where all of the blood is in the lungs. And so there's this sort of disconnect, this gap, where even though you might think that you're breathing, that you just depend on your subconscious mind to direct your breathing and to keep you breathing. If you rely on that, well, because of our modern day environments, it's harder and harder to sustain proper breathing patterns. So just by pausing, bringing awareness to your breath, and to make an extra effort, whether that's even once an hour, you stop and you take 2 conscious breaths as we just did, and just bringing awareness to these moments throughout the day where you can check in with your breathing. You can notice, are you breathing? How are you breathing? If you put one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly button and you take a deep breath in, what hand is the hand that moves? We want the bottom hand to move. We want the top hand to stay still. So there's ways that we can check in and bring awareness to how you're breathing, also bring awareness to the pattern of your breathing, and then also taking control of this number one primary movement to then take control of your breathing, take control of your attention, of your state, of where you're putting your focus. And so bringing your energy back, focusing on your breath, you can then redirect that attention into whatever task that is at hand, whether that's just coming into a space and listening to a podcast with us here, where you can be focused, you can be present, you can bring your attention to the context of what we're speaking to, or whether that's just noticing your breathing, bringing your focus to you, and then redirecting it to a project, a task, a workshop, or a seminar, or whatever that may look like. Just coming back to your breath so that you can take control of your attention and then redirect it. So I know that was a lot, Matt. I know I kind of took the torch and ran in circles a bit. I think there's just a lot of value in understanding that, having awareness of our breathing patterns, understanding that we do want to breathe into the belly, and understanding that the breath is our number one primary movement that we have access to at all times. I'm just going to throw it back to you if there's anything you want to add to that, if there's anything that stuck out that you want to jive on.
Yeah, I want to jive on all of this. I loved all that, and I think it provides, really good background and understanding. And, we're talking to a lot of different types of listeners. We like to target leaders, but also this can serve employees as well. But speaking directly to the leaders, and maybe to the leaders that haven't implemented a breathing practice, take what we say with a grain of salt. Some of my greatest mentors and teachers say, don't believe a word I tell you, go test it out for yourself and see what results you get. So my suggestion is the same, where, we can talk about the ancient history of breathing. We can talk about how it's literally the key to being alive. We could go into the depths. However, my suggestion for you as a leader is to unite your team before your next meeting. Let's just use that as an example with a couple breaths, maybe even go crazy and have your team close their eyes. And this suggestion is something that I'm not making up out of thin air. I've used this for over a decade to start almost every single session that I've ever had working with a wide variety of humans, athletes, humans, professionals, people in all kinds of different industries. And what I've witnessed and observed is the level of connection instantly that is felt, where we all shift our state into the present moment, focusing on solely our breath. And we do that as a collective unit. The effectivity, the effectiveness of what happens after is increased 10x for you business nerds out there. It's increased 1,000,000x, really. So my suggestion is give it a shot. You don't have to be a yogi, or you don't have to be a certified health coach, or, any of those things to encourage your team and employees to close their eyes, sit up nice and tall, good posture, and take a couple good conscious breaths and see what happens. We can talk about all these things, but we're here to really serve. We're here to really serve you practical ways to utilize this. We're telling you that breath can improve your focus. Well, you can choose to believe us, which we're giving you the information because we know it to be true, or you can choose to believe us and put it into practice and see what your results are. If you'd like us to come lead, we're happy to do that as well. And we'll leave some information right in the show notes and where you can find out how to do that. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for taking 2 breaths with me and Dr. Crockett. I encourage you in any moment of your life that you're feeling a little anxious, a little stressed, inside or outside of the workplace, to just slow down, bring yourself to the present moment, take a good deep breath, maybe put your hands on your chest and your stomach like Dr. Crockett suggested, and just feel into it. Feel into, how your state changes. And I say this with much love, and I cannot wait to talk to y'all on a future episode. Peace.
If you found this podcast valuable, we invite you to check out our free checklist, the 5 action items to optimize your workplace today. You can grab yours over at www.optiwellbeing.com. That's OPTI wellbeing.com. Get yours now, and we'll see you there.